Hey, Shabbat Shalom, Yeshua Allah and world. It's Brother Ezekiel and
Brother Chris.
Elder Chris. We're back again here on the Shabbat, ready to continue on with the laws and everything. We left off last time with Leviticus chapter 5, verse 4 through 5, was just talking about swearing, making an oath unto the Most High, and you're swearing by your brothers or your sisters, like if you're going to do something or whatever. But that's where we left off at. And I just got to say something real quick. I pray and I hope that who's ever watching these lessons or these videos and stuff, please write your stuff down. Write this down. Don't just watch it just to be watching and things. Like, literally, write this stuff down so you could dwell on this. You could go into it, whenever you're feeling down or you're going through some things and, you don't know where you want to turn to, or you just try to tough it out and things like that. No, just turn back and it'll help ease up whatever temptations may be coming on to you and things like that. Or if you just feeling down about something, turn back onto this. Also, not to boast or anything, but when we say study, man, it's like really read your book and study. Like, I just want to show this. This is my diary and stuff. And everything that I've written in here is all from, each and every chapter and verse of the scriptures. Now, I got some sloppy handwriting, but I can read it. So, but it's just to show and prove. Like, I don't, when I say I just don't watch people's videos and things like that, I really just, I take the time out. I literally read for myself and things like that, because when you read for yourself, the Most High, will give you that understanding. You know what I'm saying? And it's not to say I know more than you or whatever the case may be. It's just, our people, you have to get into the habit of really turning stuff off and focus on the Most High. That's the reason why a lot of times you may be getting chastised for it. I mean, I'll admit it. There was times I know for a fact I was getting chastised because I wasn't so focused on what I needed to been doing, what I was called for and stuff. So, that's what we should be doing. Like I said, there should be no excuse throughout the whole day. If you got an hour to spare, or whatever, put it towards the Most High. Get the reading and stuff. Do these things so you could have a clear conscience. You could, be strong in the word and spirit and everything, and then help out each other. And so, that light and you could shine on to other brothers and sisters who will be around you to say, well, dang, whatever he's doing or she's doing, they're getting blessed. So, not saying that Satan doesn't bless as well. He does give blessings, but if you know individuals who's being righteous and things like that, and you can see the blessings come on them, then it should urge you, to pursue after the Most High. Like it tells you, like in Proverbs chapter 8, dealing with the Holy Spirit and stuff, or some will argue and say wisdom, but I'm not for debate and things like that. The understanding I get from is what I understand. But anyways, we're going to go ahead. I just wanted to say that to all and things. And then also to I know some Christians watch this and stuff. God, the Most High God, his son, Christ, Jesus, don't change nothing at all. They're not the author of confusion. So you don't put one half of the book against the other. They all go together. You need to study the first half of the book so you can understand that Christ never did away with anything. He never abolished nothing that's written in those new translated Bibles and things. No. Everything that Christ fulfilled was what he fulfilled in the laws himself through his task that was sent by the Most High, because he said, what? Think not, but I'm sent to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's what he came to do, to save his people, and which is our people, the 12 tribes of Israel, but also, like the Gentiles too. They could get, their salvation is different from ours, but they can get salvation and things as well if they believe in the Most High, Christ, and the Holy Spirit, and keep those laws as well. So, that whole circumcision of the heart, which is, I think, Jeremiah 4:4, which tells you in Romans, I think it's chapter 9. I forgot. But anyways, it's it's not talking about doing away with the laws, period. Okay. So that's another thing I had to address because I had a discussion with somebody a while back, and that's what they believe in, things that you could just do whatever you want. So the laws is not in effect because now you just need to keep the 10 commandments. That's it, because God written it with his finger on there, on the 2 tablets of stone. But everything after that Moses wrote, that's abolished. No, it's not. Because when you read 1 Corinthians 6 and 9, where it says, know ye not that as a matter of fact, let's get that real quick before we go into the law.
Where you want me to go?
1 Corinthians 6 and 9, Elder. Because this is a point I wanted to make. If those laws of Moses is abolished, then why? Explain this to me.
1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9. Know ye not the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God?
So know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God. So any wickedness, unrighteous whatsoever, will not inherit. And how you become wicked is not keeping those laws, statutes, and commandments. Not just the commandments, the laws, the orders as well. Go ahead.
Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate.
Stop right there, Elder. So those first 3 that it tells you not to do, fornicators, idolaters, adulterers, those are under the commandments, right? So tell me this one. Where does this fall under the 10 commandments? Go ahead. The effeminate.
Nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind.
So explain to me, to individuals that watch this, where does effeminate and abusers of themselves with mankind fall in underneath the 10 commandments? I've asked this question. A lot of people say, well, I don't know. Well, I'll tell you where it falls under. Guess what? It's a law. So this is after Christ, and so these are Paul's writings and things to Corinthians and things. So let's see what law that's speaking of real quick. So to understand that it's not just talking about Christ is only telling us to only keep the 10 commandments, and then therefore you could sit there and eat whatever you want. You could sit there, I guess, have sex with another man's wife. Well, no, I'm sorry. That falls under the 10 commandments. I'm sorry. No. You could eat after another animal that's already chewed up the carcass and things. You could do whatever the heck you want now because the laws is abolished. They're done. They've been fulfilled already. Nah. So let's get it. Effeminate and abuses itself with mankind. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 13.
Leviticus chapter 20, verse 13. If a man also lie with mankind as he lies with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them.
So right there, that's not under the 10 commandments. Okay? That's under the law of Moses. But it's not Moses' laws, it's the Most High's laws. So I guess that's the reason why you allow what you call gay, lesbians all up in the churches, telling them they could be whatever they want to be. God loves everything. No, you cannot. That is a dang lie. From your teachings of saying that the laws is done away with, that's what you're allowing people to do, to continue to keep living in sin. But let's see what else is what abusers of mankind. Let's go read the next verse. Let's see. Verse 15.
Leviticus chapter 20, verse 15. If a man lie with a beast, he shall surely be put to death, and ye shall slay the beast.
Verse 16.
Verse 16. And if a woman approaches unto any beast, and lay down thereto, thou shalt kill the woman and the beast. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them.
So that doesn't fall under the 10 commandments. Okay? That falls under the fact that those are the laws written in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and 9. Okay? That's how we know the laws is not done away with. Or you're claiming that they're abolished. But once again, people are not reading these. This is the reason why, you know, the Most High has allowed me to come out here with Elder Chris to sit here and make these videos, and other brothers that, do, come through, and we do the videos as well. But this is the reason why it's been put on me to bring these laws out. You have to know these laws. The prophecies wouldn't even listen. The prophecies is what gonna save you. They're the warnings for not keeping the laws. That's the reason why. So my main teaching, or what I focus on right now, is strictly the law, statute, and commandments. Like I said this before, if our people would have kept the law, statute, and commandments when we crossed over with Joshua and Caleb over to Jordan, there wouldn't be no Book of Ruth. There wouldn't be no Hosea. There wouldn't be no Obadiah. There wouldn't be no Amos, Ezekiel, Isaiah. Christ wouldn't even have been set down here. We would have just had the book of Genesis, Joshua, and lived happily ever after. That's the mindset we need to be back in. That's what it is missing amongst Israel today. Yasha Allah. Like I said, our enemies laugh at us because we all separated. We all have an evil eye towards each other. Don't even want to lift the curses because your ego and your pride is getting in the way. And that's the problem. That's why we can't never get above anything. I mean, I could do a lesson on unity and stuff, but you can't even do unity until you start mastering these laws, statutes, and commandments and put it towards self. Otherwise, you're going to fall short every time. Like I said, I've had many individuals who don't, even though I'm speaking the truth and I'm putting the truth out here and things, they don't want to deal with me because they don't like me or have a certain unknown beef with me for some odd reason and don't want to be around, or whatever the case may be. And that's retarded. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, it's like I said before, you don't want to hear the word, even though he's speaking the truth, you don't want to hear it from him. You rather hear it from somebody else, even though he's dropping jewels. And the crazy part is, the other person that you want to listen to or put towards, because you don't like this individual, that same person is learning from the person that you hate. And it's like like I said, it's retarded. But anyways, that I was getting on a whole little spiel here. But anyways, so I'm just knocking this out of the way. So now we're gonna go into the law. We'll go back into it. We're gonna start in Leviticus chapter 5 and verse 6 through 13. And wait one moment. Salakia, y'all, one moment. You want to say anything? No.
No, I'm good. You covered it.
Okay. Just one moment, y'all. Okay. I'm gonna hop there quick. Okay. So we're in Leviticus chapter 5 and verse 6 through 13. This is the law basically on trespassing and things like that.
Leviticus chapter 5, verse 6. He shall bring his trespass offering unto the Lord for his sin, which he hath sinned, a female from the flock, a lamb or a kid of the goats for a sin offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for him concerning his sin.
So right here we have for a trespass offering. For his sin, which he has sinned, a female from a flock, a lamb or a kid, which is a small goat of the goats, for a sin offering, and the priest shall make an atonement for him concerning his sin. So these are two different, you can have a goat or a lamb, either one, it doesn't matter, depending on your sin or whatever trespass you did against the Most High's commandments and everything. So let's keep reading. And this is one whole law from 6 through 13, excuse me.
Verse 7. And if he be not able to bring a lamb, then he shall bring for his trespass, which he had committed, 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons unto the Lord. For one for a sin offering, the other for a burnt offering.
So just letting you know, so if you're poor, if you don't have a lamb and things like that, or even the money to go get one, bring 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons. Okay, one is for the sin offering, the other is for the burnt offering. Okay, so just letting you know, this is how, when we talk about what Christ had, what can he give up for the Most High to sacrifice, when the man didn't even have no financial gain whatsoever. He didn't have a place to lay his head. Okay, he was poor. So there's only one other thing you can give up to the Most High is yourself. Okay, let's keep reading.
Verse 8. And he shall bring them unto the priest, who shall offer that which is for the sin offering first, the ring off his head from his neck, but shall not divide it asunder.
So just basically letting you know, just breaking the neck or whatever, so not to take it apart. You can't, any offerings to the Most High, you cannot dislocate it or anything like that. No broken bones whatsoever. Okay. Same thing with the Passover lamb. You're not supposed to have no spot, no blemish. Even with these animals too, no spot, no blemish and stuff. Has to be basically like a firstborn male, depending on whether the sacrifices you're doing. Okay, or for the Most High. But go ahead.
When he says here in verse 8, he's saying ring off his head from his neck. Is that the same thing as when back in the South, when they kill a chicken, they take him and they wring his neck?
Yeah, like to break it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they won't cut it off.
Cut off. They just wring it.
Yeah.
That's what they did in the South when they killed a chicken. They would take him and just wring his neck, and then break his neck, and then chop his head off. But in this case, he's just wringing his neck.
Yeah, because it's like, if I remember correctly, it takes a lot more than just twisting the head all the way around, because it won't break. It'll be alive. You have to
they call it a ring.
Yeah, you got to go all the way around until you hear that snap.
Right.
Or until it breaks or whatever.
Yes. So those from the South understand what to wring a neck means.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 9. And he shall sprinkle of the blood of the sin offering upon the side of the altar, and the rest of the blood shall be wrung out at the bottom of the altar. It is a sin offering. And he shall offer the second for a burnt offering according to the manner. And the priest shall make an atonement for him for his sin which he has sinned, and it shall be forgiven him. Verse 11.
So it's just real quick. So it's just saying, so for the sin offering, you do the same thing. Same thing for the burnt offering. Just little details. Like I said, it's specific stuff that you have to do, okay? But this is the reason why we shouldn't be sinning in the first place, because now you're putting the priesthood through all this work they have to do and stuff just to atone for you, So same thing with the Messiah, atoning. He didn't die. He atoned for your stuff. That's why he put himself up and went through the things he had to go through. But anyways, that's for another lesson. Verse 11.
Verse 11. But he be not able to bring 2 turtle doves. But if he be not able to bring 2 turtle doves or 2 pigeons, then he that sinned shall bring for his offering the 10th part of an ephod of fine flour for a sin offering. He shall put no oil upon it, neither shall he put any frankincense thereon, for it is a sin offering.
So even if you are dirt poor, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if you only have this, it's telling you to bring in flour, okay? A certain percentage of flour to give as a sin offering and things. If you don't have the other things, the 2 turtle doves, the 2 pigeons, a goat or a lamb, to give up for a sin offering. Then if you're that poor, then bring in flour. Okay. Let's get the rest.
Verse 12. Then shall he bring it to the priest, and the priest shall take his handful of it, even the memorial thereof, and burn it on the altar, according to the offerings made by fire unto the Lord. It is a sin offering. Verse 13. And the priest shall make an atonement for him as touching his sin that he has sinned in one of these, and it shall be forgiven him. And the remnant offering shall be the priest as a meat offering.
See? So, a remnant. So, all that stuff, when it says meat, it's just talking about like grains, flours, lentils, nothing that's of flesh. Two big differences, okay? So, anyways, that's what we're supposed to use for if you're poor and stuff. And then the as a payment or whatever as a so-called tithe, a certain percentage of that goes to the priesthood, Aaron and his sons, for doing the work. So that was their way of getting paid and stuff to eat and so forth and so on. Let's get the next law, verse 15 through 16. Leviticus 5:15 through 16.
Leviticus 15th chapter, verse 15.
No. Chapter 5, verse 15 through 16.
Leviticus chapter 5, verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
If a soul commit a trespass and sin through ignorance.
So this is not knowing, you didn't know that you sinned and things like this. This is why it's important to know these laws, statutes, and commandments. So you have individuals out here in churches teaching that the laws is done away with, and yet you're sinning like crazy and not knowing that you're breaking a lot of the laws and stuff, okay? This is why you need to know these things. So, amongst Israel, if you're going to be righteous judges and stuff, once again, I said this before in a previous video, you need to know these laws to be a judge, okay? So if you don't know these laws, how can you judge anybody? Okay, so let's get that again.
Verse 15, chapter 5, Leviticus. If a soul commit a trespass and sin through ignorance in the holy things of the Lord, then he shall bring for his trespass unto the Lord a ram without a blemish of the flocks, with the estimation with the estimation by shekels of silver after the shekel of the sanctuary for a trespass offering.
So this one is dealing with, now this is ignorance. The other ones, if you known, you sinned, you already knew what it was and you sinned. That's different. This one, if you didn't know, then you're supposed to give a ram, okay, with silver. Excuse me. Verse 16.
Verse 16. And if he shall make amends for the harm that he hath done in the holy thing, and shall add the fifth part thereto, and give it unto the priest, and the priest shall make an atonement for him with the ram of the trespass offering, and it shall be forgiven him.
So just letting you know. Now this is why the sacrifice, we don't do the sacrifice, because there's a lot of stuff that you need in order to do this. First and foremost, you need to understand if you're from the tribe of Levite and you're from the sons of Aaron, that bloodline, that's the priesthood. 3, you need the Ark of the Covenant, you need the tabernacle, you need everything in there, both altars, and all the other things, that's the ram skin, the badger skin, all those other things, in order to be doing these works and stuff. That's the reason why we can't sacrifice no more, because you don't know where the Ark of the Covenant is, except we say, well, according to the scriptures, it's in Mount Sinai somewhere. But then you don't know if they're the Levites and stuff, and you don't know if they're the sons of Aaron. So if you're claiming to keep, if you're claiming tithes and stuff, these are the questions that you need to be asking your church. Is like, well, excuse me, sir, are you part of the tribe of Levi, and are you the sons of Aaron and things like that? You can't be collecting that stuff, okay? Now, you can give alms, that's something totally different, okay? But as far as the tithing and things like that, no. And this is the reason why we can't do sacrifice, because also in the book of Malachi, it tells you that the priesthood fell off. Okay? So you need a bunch of things in order to sacrifice. That's the reason why we had Hamashiach Yeshai, or some say Yahushua or Jesus Christ, come. The Most High God manifest His Son in the flesh. Excuse me. So we don't have to do those things until He comes back and we in the kingdom and stuff. But anyways, let's get the rest. What was that?
That was it.
Okay.
That's verse 16.
The next law, verse 17 through 19.
Verse 17. And if a soul sin and commit any of these things which are forbidden to be done by the commandments of the Lord, though he wist it not, yet is he guilty and shall bear his iniquity.
So, and if a soul sin and commit any of these things which are forbidden to be done by the commandments of the Most High, though he wist it not, yet is he guilty and shall bear his iniquity. So, once again, that's even knowing, and you're forbidden not to do these things. Once again, this is why I explain to individuals, out here, if you're creating certain things according in the laws and stuff that you had no business doing and stuff, you're committing iniquity. You're committing trespasses that you weren't told to do and things like that, wasn't commanded to do. So you cannot be doing these things. That's why I'm specifically telling individuals, like, I see brothers doing certain things. I know they're not supposed to be doing it. I try to explain it, but a lot of individuals that get too, prideful and like, close their ears off. Like, you can't tell me nothing. Like, okay, I warned you. It's written here in the law. Well, all right, do what you do then.
Wow.
Verse
18.
Yeah, go ahead.
Verse 18. And he shall bring a ram without blemish out of the flock, with thy estimation for a trespass offering unto the priest. And the priest shall make an atonement for him concerning his ignorance, wherein he erred and wist it not, and it shall be forgiven him. So
it's letting you know this is the steps that you have to do. But this is why I be telling individuals, you believe in Christ and you baptize and everything, and some will do this. They will not even read the other half of the book just to save them the trouble saying, I didn't know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's like, you gonna be held accountable too, because you have the whole book here to read.
Right.
You're not reading for yourself.
Right.
But and brothers in the truth and stuff, sisters in the truth. And I'm explaining to you. This is why I said in the beginning, please write this stuff down. This is not a joke, okay? Write these things down so you can understand your errors, like it tells you in Psalms 19, 7 through 14 and stuff, okay? Presumptuous sins, all right? But once again, let's keep getting it. I'm
going to speak on something while you.
Yeah, go ahead.
You spoke on the priest giving their offerings and he having to go through all this stuff for us because we keep sinning. Well, I'm thinking about Christ. It said in Romans 6 chapter verse 1, what shall we say then? Shall we continue to sin that grace may abound?
Right.
And then if I go to
God forbid.
God forbid. That's the second verse. God forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? But if you go to 1 Peter the 3rd chapter verse 18, said, for Christ also has suffered for sins once. For Christ also hath once suffered for sins, the just and the unjust, that he might bring us to God, being put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Spirit. So Christ died once upon the cross.
Yep. Ain't no more going back up.
So why he got to go back? Like the priests have to keep going back. Why do we have to keep going back? Let's just do our best to learn the laws and the commandments in the Testament so we don't continue to sin.
That's right. The water, elder. See, and that's how we supposed to, these are the things, what we need to do. That's why you need to understand it. So what he was speaking of, we went into Paul's writings. The laws were never abolished. You just don't understand Paul's writings. Because why? You haven't read the other half of the book. And you couldn't understand Christ's writing because you're being taught through a theologian school or a ministry school to those who call themselves still Christians, and not understanding that you're actually so-called blacks, Native Americans, Latinos, Polynesians, so forth and so on, are the 12 tribes of Israel. You're the real Jews. You're the real Israelites. Because I keep saying Jews because Jews is the southern kingdom for Judea and stuff. So that, uphold Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. You're the real Israelites and stuff. But you're being taught a Gentile mindset by Gentiles who have no authority on this book. They're not the authority. They're not even supposed to be teaching this unless they learn from a real Israelite who's given truth. But that whole thing, why they keep saying the laws is abolished and stuff, because the more you keep sinning and breaking God's laws, Christ will never return. They're living in their heaven right now.
Right.
Okay? You still living in a curse. You only get a pinch of little heaven, what you think you so-called is heaven. Okay? That's why we're trying to get our people to understand you are not a Gentile. You are not Canaanites. Okay? Don't let them fool you with saying, well, you guys come from Ham and you guys are cursed because Ham looked at Noah naked and stuff, so therefore Canaan got cursed, so Canaan should be a servant to Shem and Japheth. Okay? Don't let them fool you with that. Read this book, y'all. Okay? Get out of that mindset. But once again, this is what we're trying to get you to understand and stuff. So, of course they're going to tell you that, oh, no, the laws is done away with. So therefore they continue to keep getting blessed because they're blessed right now. This is their world. This is their kingdom.
Yes.
While you still scraping for change just to get your head above water on a regular basis. Okay? And then you start envying in this system. You start envying because you're looking at what other people got and stuff and you ain't got it in things. Okay? You can have those things if you just turn back to the Most High. Keep His law, statute, and commandments. Serve Him through Hamashiach or Christ and the Holy Spirit and stuff. Come back. Read this book. Deuteronomy 28, verse 1 through 2. 1 through 14 for all the blessings for keeping His laws, His statute, and His commandments. Okay? But let's get verse 19.
Verse 19 closes it out. It said, it is a trespass offering. He hath certainly trespassed against the Most High. So
it's just like, these are the trespasses that you're doing. So the order, the law of what you need to do to be forgiven for that, okay? Through the atonement of the priesthood and everything that's going on to the Heavenly Father, and through Christ and the Holy Spirit. So let's get the next law here. Chapter 6 and Leviticus chapter 6, 1 through 7. And this is, well, explain what it is.
Leviticus chapter 6, verse 1. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, if a soul sin and commit a trespass against the Most High, and lie unto his neighbor in that which was delivered him to keep, or in fellowship, or in a thing taken away by violence, or had deceived his neighbor.
So it's letting you know, anything that you do it right now, that you swore by the Most High, by saying, oh, I swear, like Cass was saying, I swear to God this, and all this and that and the other, and people believe him and things, or her and stuff. If you're swearing by the Most High, this is letting you know you're breaking this commandment here where it says, thou shalt not take the Most High's name in vain. Okay? So this is letting you know what you're doing. If you're doing it to be righteous, or even if you're doing it to be wicked, it's going to let you know. Go ahead.
Or have found that which was lost, and lieth concerning it, and sweareth falsely, and any or of all that a man doeth sinning therein, then it shall be, because he hath sinned and is guilty, that he shall restore that which he took violently away, or the thing which he had deceitfully gotten, or that which was delivered him to keep, or the lost thing which he found, or all that about which he had sworn falsely. He shall even restore it in the principal, and shall add the fifth part more thereto, and give it unto him to whom it appertaineth in the day of his trespass offering.
So let you know, whatever you do, this even goes back to stealing and stuff. If you catch a thief in the midst of them stealing something for you, once you catch them, they got to pay back what they stole. They got to give back what they stole, and whatever the worth of it by 4 times the amount of what the value is of whatever they stole. So they automatically become a servant to you. Okay, so these are the things that it's telling you, but it's letting you know right here. It falls in all those different things, especially when thou shalt not steal and stuff, the commandments. All these things you have to do according to these laws. This is why you need to do this, to make these things right with your brethren of who you ever stole from and things, or whatever you did by swearing by the Most High. But let's keep reading.
Verse 6. And he shall bring his trespass offering unto the Most High, a ram without blemish, out of the flock, with thy estimation for a trespass offering unto the priest. Verse 7. And the priest shall make an atonement for him before the Most High, and it shall be forgiven him for anything of all that he hath done and trespassed therein. Verse 8.
That's it on that.
Verse 7.
Yeah. So it says, and the priest shall make an atonement for him before the Lord, or Most High, and it shall be forgiven him for anything of all that he has done and trespassing therein. So once again, these are all the laws which you had to do according to that. So this is why it's so important. That's why Christ said the 2 greatest commandments was, first, to love the Most High with all thy heart, mind, body, and soul. The second is to love thy neighbor, meaning your brother, your nation, as thyself. Those 2 hang up all the laws. Number 1, if you love the Most High God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul, you're going to follow and do whatever he tells you, what he commanded through all the prophets and the priesthood. Or excuse me, through the prophets and the priesthood, through Christ. And then 2, you would do this to show and prove to your brethren, to teach them to do the same thing. So that's why it says it hangs up the law. So for individuals out there teaching, still thinking that the laws is abolished, you just need to keep those 2. So how can you serve and love the Most High God and you don't even know his laws that he gave on to Christ in the Spirit to give on to Moses? Doesn't make sense. But anyway, right. So let's get the rest of these. Verse 8 is the next law.
And verse 8, and the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, command Aaron and his sons, saying, this is the law of the burnt offering.
One moment. He said he came. That was Moshe. He said he came, but nobody answered the door. Well, I tried to text him and call him, so all right, I'm sorry. Let's get the next law. Verse, what did I say? 8.
Verse 8. I'm on the side of verse 8 again.
Okay.
And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, command Aaron and his sons, saying, this is the law of the burnt offering. It is the burnt offering because of the burning upon the altar all night unto the morning, and the fire of the altar shall be burning in it. Verse 10. And the priest shall put on his linen garment, and his linen breeches shall he put upon his flesh, and take up the ashes which the fire hath consumed with the burnt offering on the altar, and he shall put them beside the altar.
So basically, there's like when we were reading before in later videos about the garments. There's specific garments that Aaron and his sons had. So they weren't wearing certain garments 24/7 to do a lot of these works because it's dirty, so forth and so on. Especially if you're carrying ashes and stuff. This is how you're supposed to deal with. But it's letting you know right here that you're supposed to carry the ashes away from the first altar. Well, depending on which altar they're bringing it from, because remember, there's 2 different altars. But anyways, let's get the rest.
Verse 11, and he shall put off his garments and put on other garments, and carry forth the ashes without the camp unto a clean place. And the fire upon the altar shall be burning in it, and it shall not be put out. And the priest shall burn wood on it every morning, and lay the burnt offering in order upon it, and he shall burn thereon the fat of the peace offerings. Verse 13. The fire shall ever be burning upon the altar. It shall never go out.
So it's even a law as well. So for that altar, it always has to be burning. Always. So this is committed work that the priesthood had to do continuously. Okay? That's devotion. All right? So there, like I said, it's all in details. It's for specific reasons why. Like I said, later on, like I said, this had to deal with the kingdom being built. I said this in previous videos. That'd be for another lesson later. Like I said, it's just for the laws, you know, just trying to get the laws down right now. So let's get
13. That was verse 13.
The next law, which starts at verse 14.
Verse 14. And this is the law of the meat offering. The sons of Aaron shall offer it before the Most High, before the altar.
Now, this isn't talking about flesh. This is meat. It's talking about grains and flour and so forth and so on. Okay, so don't get that mixed up. Flesh and meat, two different things.
Okay.
But go ahead.
And verse 15. And he shall take of it his handful of the flour of the meat offering, and of the oil thereof, and all the frankincense which is upon the meat offering, and shall burn it upon the altar for a sweet savor, even the memorial of it unto the Most High.
Now remember back what we just read in the other law for the trespass. When you're poor and you only have flour, it said not to mix oil or frankincense with it. Okay, specific details how you're supposed to deal with your any trespasses or any offerings or sacrifice unto the Most High. So this one you had to mix oil with frankincense, so it'd be a nice savior for a sweet savior for the Most High. And there's significance behind that as well. But go ahead.
Verse 16. And the remainder thereof shall Aaron and his son eat. With unleavened bread shall it be eaten in the holy place. In the court of the tabernacle of the congregation shall they eat it.
So this is their tithe right there. That's what they're eating. What's ever left over. So it's all about food. It's not about money. Okay? But anyways, too, also, everybody cannot eat this. This is a holy thing for only Aaron and his sons that they shall eat. But there's some, you know, David got to eat the showbread, when really that's not even for him to touch. But once again, there's specific reasons, and there's laws even concerning if a Levite or a priest has certain things like the food and things, he can share that on with anybody else that's not a priesthood. Okay, because it's his stuff, so he could do these things. But that's for when we get later on. You'll see it in the next couple of videos or whatever. Excuse me. But go ahead.
And it shall be, verse 17, and it shall be baken with leaven. I have given it unto them for their portion of my offerings made by fire. It is most holy, as is the sin offering, as the trespass offering. Verse 18. All the males among the children of Aaron shall eat of it. It shall be a statute forever in your congregation concerning the offerings of the Most High made by fire. Everyone that touches them shall be holy.
See? So it was strictly for Aaron and his sons and stuff to eat. The trespass, the sin offerings, and the sin offerings, they're taking the sins onto themselves to atone. They're the atonement between you and the Father. So once again, that's why we keep explaining in the New Testament, Christ atoned for your sins. He was the atonement for us and between us and the Father. That's why he was sent on the earth, okay? To give us a chance. Grace, which is a time clock that's giving you time to get yourself back right with the Most High. Because otherwise, if that wasn't the case, just like in Moses and Moshe's time, when we was on, going through the wilderness and stuff, and our people was murmuring against him, or excuse me, when they created the golden calf and everything, the Most High was this quick ready to get rid of us. but was one man who atoned for us. And who was that? Moshe or Moses. So same thing that Yeshua did. He did the same thing for us. Okay. So this is understanding both Old and so-called New Testament. I hate saying that because it's not even a topic or a title. Okay. But this is what happens when you allow Gentiles to get an authority of your book. Okay. Of your history and your culture. But anyways, what verse were we at?
Verse 19.
Okay, verse 19 is the next law.
Yes. Verse 19. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, This is the offering of Aaron and of his sons, which they shall offer unto the Most High in the day when he is anointed. The 10th part of an ephah of flour for a meat offering perpetual. Half of it in the morning, half thereof at night.
So for Aaron and the priesthood, they have to give. Now this is the way they give their offerings and atonement and so forth and so on. So it's going into the breakdown of what Aaron and his sons and Moshe had to offer up. Okay, so because a lot of people are like, well, what about them? Don't they got to do some offerings too? Because you have some individuals like back in the wilderness who was mumbling, oh, well, we're Levites too. Why the Most High ain't talking to us and stuff? And Moshe took their sayings up to the Most High, and the Most High was just like, clack. You know what I'm saying? Done deal, over with. Got rid of them. Don't worry about why I haven't chosen you guys, even though you're Levites. Y'all come from the same tribe. I'm not dealing with you, okay? There's something I'm dealing with them. I see in their heart and in their spirit what I create, predestined, pre-adventured, created them before they even came out their mother's womb, okay? That's the Most High. So don't worry about it and stop questioning certain things. But anyways, go ahead.
Verse 21. In a pan it shall be made with oil, and when it is baking, thou shalt bring it in, and the baking pieces of the meat offering shalt thou offer for a sweet savor before the Most High. And the priest of his sons, verse 22, and the priest of his sons that is anointed in his stead shall offer it. It is a statute forever unto the Most High. It shall be wholly burnt.
Holy burnt. So it's letting you know it's a statute. I mean, it's an order forever. That's what the statutes mean. It's an order. So you have to do this. So when everything gets back in order, once we Most High willing we make it into the kingdom, you still be doing these things. Everything's going to get put back in order. Okay? And mind you, that's the reason why Christ only did certain things. I understand he's called a high priest, but there's certain things he didn't do according to the priesthood because he knew he's not from the tribe of Levi, and also he's not from that bloodline of Aaron. That's why he couldn't perform. That's like when he told when he cleaned one of the leopards, and basically he told him to take, when he healed him and stuff, he told him, here, take this and give this as an offering onto the priesthood, the Levites, so they know that you're clean and all this and that and the other, and give that on to them. Why didn't Christ take that on to himself? The answer is because he knows he's not part of that bloodline. Okay, so but anyways, let's get the rest here.
Verse 23.
Yes, sir.
For every meat offering for the priest shall be wholly burnt; it shall not be eaten.
Okay, so it shall not be eaten. So they have to fully burn it. So that's something they can't eat. That's it's Most High stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get the next law, verse 24.
Next law is Leviticus chapter 6, verse 24. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, speaking to Aaron and to his sons, saying, This is the law of the sin offering, in the place wherein the burnt offering is killed, shall the sin offering be killed before the Most High. It is the most holy. The priest that offer it for sin shall eat it. In the holy place shall it be eaten, in the court of the tabernacle of the congregation. Whatsoever shall touch the flesh thereof shall be holy. And when there is sprinkle of the blood thereupon any garment, thou shalt wash that whereon it was sprinkled in the holy place. But the earthen vessel wherein it is sodden shall be broken. And if it be soddened in a brazen pot, it shall be both scorched and rinsed in water. Verse 29. All the males among the priests shall eat thereof, it is most holy. Verse 30. And no sin offering whereof any of the blood is brought into the tabernacle of the congregation to reconcile with all in the holy place, shall it be eaten, shall be burnt in the fire.
So it's all this stuff. It's holy things, and it also said the males, going to do this and everything. Once again, so like I said, just keep it in order and stuff. But where you're supposed to, like it says, you're supposed to take the if it's made out of an earth vessel and stuff like clay pot, like a clay pottery and stuff. You're supposed to burn it or whatever, because there's that whatever what's in it. It's holy. Nobody else is supposed to touch it and things like that. So that's why you're supposed to get rid of it. And then it's saying scorch that brass and stuff, because you're supposed to, you can't break like brass in pieces and stuff. You just gotta, you gotta scorch it and stuff. That's the way of cleansing it. So, no holy thing is with it. And then it even goes into, like falling in about, if you have abominations in your pots and pans and stuff, you're supposed to throw it away and get rid of it because it's unclean. This is different. I mean, it's in the same sense, but you're supposed to scorch this. So, burn it or whatever.
Okay. Purifying it.
Was that verse 30?
Verse 30.
Okay, was that it on that?
That was it on that.
Okay, let's get the next law. We're going to go to chapter 7.
Hold on, I'm going to read verse 30 again.
Okay.
Okay, make sure. It said, and no sin offering whereof any of the blood is brought into the tabernacle of the congregation to reconcile with all in the holy place shall be eaten. It shall be burnt in the fire. Okay,
yeah, so we know you ain't supposed to eat no blood or anything like that. And like it says, blood, purifying the blood is with fire and things like that. So, anywho, chapter 7 and then verse 1 through 6 is the next law.
Chapter 7, verse 1. Likewise, this is the law of the trespass offering. It is most holy. And the place where they kill the burnt offering shall they kill the trespass offering. And the blood thereof shall be sprinkled round about upon the altar. Verse 3. And he shall offer it all the fat thereof, the rump, and the fat that covereth the inwards, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them, which is by the flanks, and the caul that is above the liver. With the kidneys it shall be taken away. It shall he take away. And the priest shall burn them upon the altar for an offering made by fire unto the Most High. It is a trespass offering. Verse 6. Every male among the priests shall eat thereof. It shall be eaten in the holy place. It is most holy.
So it's not talking about the fat. You don't eat the fat. They don't eat the fat. They're just talking about the animal that was burnt on there. So just, for clarification, they don't eat the fat. We can't eat the fat of any animal. All right. And plus it tells you, I think I did it in a previous video with the laws. It says not to eat the fat of any of the burnt offerings or any offerings made by fire unto the Most High. And that was verse 6.
That was verse 6.
Okay, let's get verse 7 is the next law.
Verse 7. As the sin offering is, so is the trespass offering. There is one law for them. The priest that maketh atonement therewith shall have it. And the priest that offereth any man's burnt offering, even that priest shall have to himself the skin of the burnt offering, which he hath offered.
See, that's the tithe. Okay? So tithing had everything to do about food, not money. Okay? And as a matter of fact, there's one scripture in there that says, if you're traveling from a distance off, or you don't have the animal to, give the offering and stuff, it says to take your money and go buy that animal, and then come into the temple to give the offering onto the priest. Okay, that's the only time. So if you're in church, okay, if you're going to Sunday worship and stuff, and they pass around the bucket saying for tithes and things, make sure you bring in 10% of what you make of your money that month, and buy 10% worth of groceries and bring it in and put it in the bucket for the priest, the preacher at the churches, and see if they don't, see what they say. they'll probably tell you get up out of there. Okay, so once again, but I'm just being funny and things like that, but it's the truth. It's not had nothing to do with money, so it never changed. Alms is totally something different. You could give an alm that means a gift or whatever to the people to help out and things, or onto men who out here doing the work, so forth and so on and things. So anyway, let's get the
Verse 9.
verse 9. Yeah.
Verse 9. And all the meat offering that is baken in the oven, and all that is dressed in the frying pan and in the pan, shall be the priest that offereth it.
Mm-hmm.
And every meat offering mingled with oil and dry shall all the sons of Aaron have, one as much as other.
Okay, so just let you know, it all goes to the priesthood. All right. Verse 11 is the next law.
Verse 11. And this is the law of the sacrifice of peace offering, which he shall offer unto the Most High.
So the peace offering, go ahead.
And if he offer it for thanksgiving, then he shall offer with the sacrifice of thanksgiving unleavened cakes, mingled with oil, and unleavened wafers, anointed with oil, and cakes mingled with oil of fine flour fried.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 13. Besides the cakes, he shall offer for his offering leavened bread with the sacrifice of thanksgiving of his peace offerings.
There's your real Thanksgiving, okay? Let's get that right. All right, not the little giving of thanks of your slave masters sitting here, overcoming Gad and or the Native Americans for with diseases and things like that. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so this is a real Thanksgiving. But anyways, let's keep reading.
Verse 14. And of it he shall offer one out of the whole oblation for a heave offering unto the Most High. And it shall be the priest that sprinkleth the blood of the peace offerings. Verse 15. And the flesh of the sacrifice of his offering, peace offering for thanksgiving shall be eaten the same day that it is offered. He shall not leave any of it until the morning.
See? So, once again, it's all about food, okay? So, it has nothing to do with money, all right? Let's keep reading.
Verse 16. But if the sacrifice of his offering be a vow or voluntary offering, it shall be eaten the same day that he offered his sacrifice. And on the morrow also the remainder of it shall be eaten.
Now it says, now on the remainder day it shall be eaten. See, this is different from the Passover. When the Passover lamb, you're supposed to eat the whole lamb, the whole day, or whatever, the whole day of the Passover. Whatever is not eaten, you have to burn it. Okay, you have to thoroughly burn it. So whatever's left of that lamb, you got to burn it. Don't break the bones. Don't do none of that. The only thing you were supposed to take out was the fat of the lamb and everything. So with that being said, that's different. So just understanding that these are two different things. Okay, because some people say, well, see, no, whatever sacrifice you do, you ain't supposed to. Whatever's left over, you're supposed to just burn it. No, you're Aaron. You need to understand these details, okay? So let's keep reading.
Verse 17. But the remainder of the flesh of the sacrifice on the third day shall be burnt with fire. Verse 18. And if any of the flesh of the sacrifice of his peace offering be eaten at all on the third day, it shall not be accepted. Neither shall it be imputed unto him that offereth it. It shall be an abomination, and the soul that eateth it of it shall bear his iniquity.
See, so you got 3 days. Excuse me, 3 days. Cause I want somebody to be on here and say, "Oh, he's throwing up a 6." Anyways, 3 days you have to have that eaten, but on the third day, you eat it and things, it's an abomination, and you committed iniquity. But it goes into the dietary law about eating certain things and stuff like that. But anyways, it's coming up. We'll get into it.
Verse 19.
Yep.
And the flesh that touches any unclean thing shall not be eaten. It shall be burnt with the fire. And as for the flesh, all that be clean shall eat thereof. But the soul that eateth of the flesh of the sacrifice of peace offering that pertain unto the Most High, having the uncleanness upon him, even that soul shall be cut off from his people. Verse 21. Moreover, the soul that shall touch any unclean thing, as the uncleanness of man, or any unclean beast, or any abomination, unclean thing, any abominable unclean thing, and eat of the flesh of the sacrifice of peace offerings, which pertain unto the Most High, even that soul shall be cut off from his people.
So stop right there. So a prime example why when David ate the showbread, the priest asked him, have you been with, have you been with a woman? Have you done certain things? He asked certain questions to make sure either he was unclean or clean before he could eat that showbread, because those are holy things that, it didn't pertain to nobody else to eat. But once again, the priesthood can give that if they want to. Okay. So with that being said, it's not contradicting the law or breaking it. It was a good deed, a good work that what that priest did for King David at the time and stuff. So that's why he asked him, are you clean? So if he was unclean, this is how detailed they need to know the law. Because if he was unclean, David would have probably died on the spot, depending on whatever the case may have been. So that's the reason why specifically you have to, know these things. Okay. And like I said, I will do lessons that pinpoints each law concerning back in Genesis when they first were established before Moses, the commandments and the statutes, and then I'll pinpoint everything that the Pharisees and what were trying to tempt Christ about when they was dealing with the laws. I'll pinpoint those back with the laws so you can have a lesson on that and have that thorough understanding. But like I said, once again, right now, this is just going straight through the law. So you guys can start remembering this and putting this into your walk in our culture. This is our culture here. So let's get the next one.
Verse 22.
No. We got to go to, what was that, 7:11 through 21?
Yeah, it was through 21 right there.
Yeah. The next law, we jump to chapter 10.
Chapter 10.
Yep. Yeah, because the rest of these other laws that they're repeats. That's why I'm jumping to chapter 10, because I've already read them and seen the repeats in there, because people will add this and say, this is a law again, this is a law again. No, it's just repeat. It's just telling you about, when you read the next verses, it's talking about eating the fat. You cannot eat the fat of the animals, which tells you back in chapters 3 and verse 17. So that's back in Leviticus in the earlier chapters and stuff, which I already read prior videos and stuff. So, one moment, yeah.
Back door. Knock.
Okay.
Leviticus 10th chapter.
Yes, sir. And verse 8 through 11 is the next law.
Okay. Leviticus 10th chapter, verse 8. And the Most High spake unto Aaron, saying, Do not drink wine nor strong drink, thou nor thy sons with thee, when ye go into the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die.
See? So here it is. So when people sit there and say, oh man, you're not, try to act more holier than thou, you can't drink wine or other strong drinks and things like that. That's forbidden.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, you can. And Christ was drinking it as well, because they called him a man who's a wine bibber and who sits with sinners and publicans. Okay? So with that being said, specifically for the Levites, let's read that one more time.
Verse 9.
The priesthood, excuse me.
Verse 9. Verse 8, I'll go back. And the Most High spoke unto Aaron, saying, Do not drink wine nor strong drink, thou nor thy sons with thee, when you go into the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die.
When you go into the congregation of the tabernacle, okay? If you are just having strong drinks outside the tabernacle, that's okay. But if you're inside that tabernacle, you cannot drink wine and other strong drinks. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so do not do that unless they die. And once again, we already know for a fact Aaron and his sons brought strange fire into the tabernacle, and they got burnt. Okay, so the small little detail is be the biggest things that can save you or destroy you. All right, keep reading.
And it shall be a statute forever throughout your generations.
See, it's an order throughout your whole generations. Okay, so it's probably has some significance too behind the fact that Christ didn't drink wine with them on the Passover when they were breaking bread. When he said, "This is the wine, this is my this is my blood," and things like that. And then he said, "I will not drink or share this cup with you until we come into the kingdom and stuff," because that was probably a holy, in a sense of a tabernacle right there going on. So that's probably the reason why he didn't do that then. But anyways, like I said, it's just some stuff I'd be thinking about. But let's get the next law.
Verse 10.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Keep reading.
Go through 11. Verse 10. That ye may put difference between holy and unholy, and between unclean and clean, and that ye may teach the children of Israel all the statutes which the Most High hath spoken to them by the hand of Moses.
By the hand of Moses. So you're supposed to speak this on to them 24/7, all the time. Let's get the next law, chapter 11, and verse 1 through 8. Now we're getting into the dietary laws.
Okay.
Yeah, you can begin.
Leviticus chapter 11, verse 1. And the Most High spoken to Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth.
So, everybody out there, Acts chapter 10, 1 through 20 something, speaking on that vision about Peter and the unclean beast, when it says kill and eat 3 times, it's not talking about food. It was talking about Hebrew Israelites with Gentiles. The Israelites are clean animals. The Gentiles are the unclean animals. Okay? Had nothing to do with food. Mark chapter 7, verse 6 down through 20 something, where it says a man puts in his mouth doesn't defile him, what comes out of him defiles him. It's not talking about food. And once, but it says the stomach purges all meats. Okay, what meats was Christ and them eating? Okay, he wasn't eating pork, shrimp, lobster, and crab and all this other stuff. Okay, so once again, he's not going to tell you to sin, keep the laws himself and then sin. He'd become another Pharisee and stuff, a hypocrite. Okay, not showing love to thy brethren, keeping the second greatest commandment, which is love thy neighbor as thyself. Come on, if you know this book and you've been reading this and you're still claiming that you could eat shrimp, pork, lobster, and crab and any other little abominations out there, as in when we go through these dietary laws and stuff, if you're still doing that and you're teaching people to do that, you're going to end up in hell, seriously. Okay, all right. Well, you're going to be judged for it, seriously, okay? And we'll show exactly what it says in Isaiah 66 later. But let's go ahead.
Verse 3. Whatsoever parteth the hoof, and is cloven-footed, and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat.
So whatever has a split hoof, cloven hoof, and cheweth the cud, meaning the plants, you can eat. They both have to have those 2 things. Eat the plants of the earth and have a split hoof, okay? Go ahead.
Nevertheless, verse 4. These shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide their hoof, as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof. He is unclean unto you. And the coney, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean to you. And the hare, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you. And the swine,
and the pig,
and
pork,
the swine,
ham,
though he divides
chitlins.
the hoof, and he be cloven footed, yet he cheweth not the cud. He is unclean to you.
He is unclean to you. So it's letting you know right there, you cannot eat. Christ was not teaching you to go eat pork, shrimp, lobster, and crab. All that stuff was still dealing with the law, statute, and commandments and everything. So with that being said, you cannot eat those things, period. Don't let people teach you that it's okay to eat pork or shrimp, lobster, and crab or anything that goes against these dietary laws. Okay? Don't let them do that. They're fooling you. But let's keep going.
Verse 8. Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcasses shall ye not touch. They are unclean unto you.
So they're unclean.
Wow.
So they're unclean carcass.
Don't you touch them.
One moment, y'all. If you want to say something.
Okay.
Okay. Go to I'm sorry, the next verse.
Verse 9. Shall these shall ye eat of all that are in the waters, whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters, and in the seas and the rivers, them shall ye eat.
So whatever has scales and fins, not one without the other, not one missing the other. It has to have both, which you can eat. Go ahead.
And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you.
So you can't eat squid. You can't eat octopus. You can't eat sharks. You can't eat dolphins. You can't eat whales. You can't eat shrimp, lobster, and crab. Was it crayfish? Yeah, crayfish. Catfish. Eels. Seahorse. Sea otters. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. If it doesn't have scales and fins, it's done with. Can't eat it. All right, let's keep reading.
Verse 11. They shall be even an abomination unto you. You should not eat of their flesh, but you shall have their carcasses an abomination.
This should be an abomination.
That's verse 11.
Let's keep reading.
Verse 12. Whatsoever have no fins or scales in the waters, that shall be an abomination to you. And these are they which ye shall have an abomination among the fowls.
So the birds, go ahead.
They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination, the eagle, and the ossifrage, and the offspring. The vulture, and the kite after his kind. Every raven after his kind. And the owl, and the night hawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind. And the little owl, and the cormorant,
Mm-hmm.
and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gear eagle, and the stork, the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat. All fowls that creep, going upon all four, shall be an abomination unto you. Yet these may ye eat of every flying creeping thing that goeth upon all fours, which have legs above their feet, to leap with all upon the earth.
So right here, so we're dealing with bugs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
First, it was the birds. Okay.
Okay.
Specific birds you can't eat. All right. Now we're talking about bugs. It's gonna let you know. Yes,
okay.
Bugs. You can eat certain bugs.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Verse 22. Even these of them may ye eat, the locust after his kind, and the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind.
So the beetle after his kind. So
right.
it was like beetles? Yes, a beetle, as in what was that? Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Yeah,
They was sitting there. They had them big old beetles and stuff, and they were just mawing away at them and stuff. Yes, you can eat those. Okay, so it says after its kind and things. And then the locust is talk about the grasshoppers, so forth and so on. You can eat those. John the Baptist, the only thing he was eating was honey and locusts. So that was his diet and stuff, you know. So some people are like, how can you eat those and stuff? Well, there's certain ways you can do it. You can pluck the head off the certain tail part and stuff, and then you fry the little suckers. You know, throw some seasoning on there, put them in some oil. You know, put it amongst some rice and beans. You know, I always make jokes with, you know, I keep saying like, man, you know, like Ephraim, be like, yo, some of the roast gongadooly, slot that up in there and stuff. You know, you good to go and stuff. So, like, man, I'm not eating that. You better get used to it because you may have to. Getting in the wilderness, and that'd be the only thing. You gonna what? Sit there and starve? The Most High sends a swarm in the desert, like, and you sitting there waiting for food, and so you've been fasting through the desert for the last 4 days and so without any food but drinking water and things. So this is the only food that comes to you. Oh, it's a locust. I can eat this. This is clean. It's a clean bug.
Better start a fire.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So, you know. But anyways, let's keep reading.
Verse 23. But all other flying, creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination unto you. And for these ye shall be unclean. And for these ye shall be unclean. Whosoever touches the carcass of them shall be unclean until the even.
And it's talking about just the dead, you know, the dead animal. I mean, the dead bugs and stuff. You know. So, go ahead.
And whosoever beareth aught of the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the even.
Yep. Okay.
The carcasses of every beast which divideth the hoof is not cloven-footed, nor cheweth the cud, are unclean unto you. Every one that touches them shall be unclean. And whatsoever goeth upon his paws among all manner of beasts that go on all 4, these are unclean unto you. Whosoever touches their carcass shall be unclean until the even. And he that beareth the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the even. They are unclean unto you.
So basically, you're saying if you find dead animals and stuff, you do want to get rid of them. You want to burn them, or you know, or whatever. You know, mainly burn them. That's the biggest thing, because when you're doing that, you're purifying it, so you don't have no diseases, bacteria that could cause viruses, whatever, you know, that's going on. And if you're touching this stuff, you got to clean your clothes, even though it didn't even touch your clothes. You know, oh, it didn't touch my clothes. No, clean your clothes and wash yourself, and you're unclean until the evening. Okay. Go ahead.
Verse 29. These also shall be unclean unto you among the creeping things that creep upon the earth, the weasel, the mouse, the tortoise after his kind.
Stop right there once. So grab Isaiah 66 and let me get it. Isaiah 66. Skip the whole thing. Where is it? Where is it?
There we go.
The one I want where they was eating swine's flesh.
17.
Yeah. Yep. Isaiah 66 and 17 to back this up once again, that our people wasn't eating these things. And that's why Leviticus chapter 11 goes into thorough extent of which animals you can and cannot eat. Okay? Well, go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 66, verse 17.
Let's start at verse 16.
Isaiah 66, verse 16. For by fire and by sword will the Most High plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Most High shall be many. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith the Most High.
See that? So if you're eating swine's flesh and eating mice and stuff, letting you know you're going to be consumed. And that sword that is going to plead with all flesh, who's bringing that? Christ is. Matthew 10 and verse 34. Sister Tahara's at the door.
Back door?
Yeah.
Right.
One moment, y'all. Sorry. You may want to go out in front, Elder. Hey, sis, you outside? Yeah. I don't know which. I gotta figure out which way did you turn. Did you turn? Say that again? Yeah. Hello? Yeah, 3845 North 38th. Okay. Okay. Yeah, there's the his house got a fence by it. It says beware of dogs, excuse me.
But there are no dogs.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we left off at verse 29.
We finished Isaiah.
Yeah. That was Isaiah 16 through 17. And then we're going back to the law again. So verse 29 on the abomination.
Okay, Leviticus 11.
Yeah, verse 29.
Okay. Leviticus 11 chapter verse 29. These also shall be unclean unto you among the creeping things that creep upon the earth, the weasel, the mouse, the tortoise after his kind, and the ferret, and the chamberlain, and the chameleon, and the lizard, and the snail, and the mole. These are the unclean to you among all that creep. Whosoever do touch them, when he be dead, shall be unclean to that even.
So once again, whenever you touch a dead, it's not saying when they're alive you
Right.
can't touch them.
Right.
It's saying when they're dead and stuff.
Right.
You know, when you touch them, you're unclean. So,
Right.
you know, some people are like, I don't want to touch it, I'll become unclean, but it's still alive.
Right.
You know, so. But go ahead.
Verse 32, and upon whatsoever any of them, when they are dead, doth fall, it shall be unclean, whether it be any vessel of wood or raiment or skin or sack. Whatsoever vessel it be wherein any work is done, it must be put in the water, and it shall be unclean until the even, so it shall be cleansed. Verse 33, in every earthen vessel whereunto any of them falleth, whatsoever is in it shall be unclean, and you shall break it.
See, so that's letting you know, even with any food, you know, like pots and pans and things, you gotta get rid of them and stuff. Any abomination that was cooked in there, there's no way of cleaning it. You gotta get rid of it. Okay? Otherwise you're gonna stay unclean until the evening. But the whole fact of the matter is you don't want any of that in your house and stuff, okay? That's why there's so much difficulty, because you're walking this truth, you're staying with family members, they're not in the truth. So, you know, you got to put up with a lot of stuff. But you know, go out and go buy, you know, your own dishes and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's a hassle in itself too. So, keep reading.
33. This is verse 34. And of all meat which may be eaten, that on which such water cometh shall be unclean. And all that drink that may be drunk in every vessel shall be unclean. Verse 35. And everything whereupon any part of their carcass falleth shall be unclean, whether it be oven, or ranges, or pots, they shall be broken down, for they are unclean, and shall be unclean unto you.
See that, man? That's what I'm saying. Like, yo, did that grill? Did y'all cook something? Like, nah, man, you can't cook it on there, fam.
I ain't put no point with my thing, man. Scorpion on there.
See, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, the brother one.
It's no joke, y'all. So let's keep reading.
Okay. Verse 36. Nevertheless, a fountain or pit wherein there is a plenty of water shall be clean, but that which touches their carcass shall be unclean. And if any part of their carcass fall...
Oh, sorry, Salakia. So if you find a well that, you know, or water or a pond or whatever, and you see these dead animals sitting in there and things, that whole pond is unclean. Okay? You know, you're supposed to... The only way you could purify that is, you know, basically getting rid of the animals out and burning them and things. And then the other little abominations, the shrimps, lobster, and crab, and clams and stuff, oysters, they'll take care of the blood and eat all that stuff, okay? So that's why they're made for a certain reason, okay? So they're the sanitizers of the waters, and then you got the sanitizers of the earth, which is the swine and stuff. So next verse again.
Verse 37?
Yep.
And if any part of their carcass fall upon any sowing seed, which is to be sown, it shall be clean.
So, wait 1 second. She's asking if it's a brick house.
Yeah, white brick.
Yeah, you want to go on out there? Yeah, she should be in the front.
Okay.
She's in a SUV. Like a expedition or a navigator. Salakia, y'all. Sorry, excuse me. Salakia, y'all, I'm gonna have to edit this probably later or whatever. We got people coming in kind of late, so I'll have to edit this later. One moment again. Thanks. At least we know you in the spirit. All right, you good.
You can sit wherever you want.
let's see. Where were
Okay. Verse 30. We're talking about 37.
we? Yeah, so
Yeah, verse 36.
No,
Talked
we're
about the
past
part.
that.
37.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Let's just start at verse 38 again.
38.
Yeah.
38. Leviticus, the 11th chapter, verse 38. But if any water be put upon the seed, and any part of their carcass fall thereon, it shall be unclean unto you. Verse 39. If any beast of which ye may eat die, he that touches the carcass thereof shall be unclean unto the even.
So right there it says, and if any beast of which ye may eat die, he that toucheth the carcass thereof shall be unclean until evening. So that should let you know when you're cooking food and stuff, whoever's cooking and stuff, when you're touching the clean dead animal, you know, that you're cooking and stuff, you're going to be unclean until evening. So best time to have something to eat, you know, meat wise or flesh wise, is 2 hours prior before evening. Okay, so you know this is why you have to do these things. So you know during the day, this probably helps out with diets and stuff. You should make you know fruits and vegetables during the day and things that'll help out with the diet, and then that cuts your consumption of eating flesh of animals down and things like that. Okay, let's continue.
Verse 40.
Yes, sir.
And he that eateth of the carcass of it shall wash his clothes, and be unclean until the even. He also that beareth the carcass of it shall wash his clothes, and be unclean until the even.
See? No, so I'm not telling you guys to go cooking some food butt naked or something like that. So, you know what I'm saying? But still, this is why we need to be, you know, doing these things. These are all laws. So this is why we need to know these things. But go ahead.
Okay, verse 41. And every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth shall be an abomination. It shall not be eaten.
So don't get that mixed up with the clean bugs that you can eat. The beetles, the locusts, the grasshoppers, okay? It's not every creeping thing. It's just talking about the ones that is unclean, okay? Right. Somebody will look at it, well, that sounds like a contradiction again. No. So, continue on.
Verse 42. Whatsoever goeth upon the belly, and whatsoever goeth upon all four, or whatsoever hath more feet among all creeping things that creep upon the earth, them all you shall not eat, for they are an abomination. Verse 43. Ye shall not make yourself abominable with any creeping thing that creepeth, neither shall ye make yourselves unclean with them, that ye should be defiled thereby. 44. For I am the Most High your God. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves, and ye shall be holy, for I am holy. Neither shall ye defile yourself with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Verse 45. I am the Most High that bringeth you out of the land of Egypt, to be your God. Ye should therefore be holy, for I am holy. Verse 46. This is the law of the beast, and of the fowl, and of every creeping creature, every living creature that moveth in the waters, and of every creature that creepeth upon the earth, to make a difference between the unclean and the clean, between the beasts that may be eaten and the beasts that may not be eaten.
That may not be eaten, okay? So, I don't want, like I said, once again, if you are being taught that Mark chapter 7, verse 6, all the way down through, I think it's 27, about eating, what a man puts in his mouth doesn't defile him, what comes out of his mouth defiles him, you got to ask what meat was Christ talking about and what was he eating. So, the Most High, Christ is not going to contradict the Father, okay? Nothing has been changed. So if you are going around teaching individuals that it's okay to eat these abominations because all you got to do is pray over it and call it a day, like the other scripture where they're not understanding that the meats that you're buying from your enemies and things, these other nations and stuff, they're praying onto their gods, their idols. They sacrifice onto their gods, which compared to our God, it's a devil. Okay? So when you get these things, they're getting blessed by their gods. Okay, when you pray over your food, that's to sanctify and cleanse what little spirits might be all up in that food that is a clean animal due to the dietary laws to eat. That's why you pray over it, because at that time, Herod the king was a Roman. He was a Roman king that was ruling all over through Israel and things like that. So if you have a Roman king, that means you have Roman citizens inside your city, which means they have a marketplace. They're running your whole city. So if you want things to buy, and you buy from, you're going to be buying from a Roman, or you may have some Israelites who turned and not even following the law, statute, and commandments, or even the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and picked up the gods of the Romans. You see what I'm saying? So that's the reason why you're supposed to pray over your food all the time, every time, your water, everything, supposed to pray over it. But anyways, that's it for today. We'll pick up on Leviticus, let's see, chapter 12, verse 1 through 2. It goes into about women going through childbirth and things like that, being clean and unclean, so forth and so on. So we'll get into that next week. So anyways, I pray and hope that you guys are, you got some knowledge and some understanding according to the Most High's word and his laws, and apply it to self and things. So we will build with you guys later. And I had to do some editing because, we had calls and everything. But anyways, we'll talk with you later. And all wish you all Most High Godspeed with y'all. So Shabbat Shalom and Kwam Yasharallah.